The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to the Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe.
I'm Brad Jackson.
So I got a little cigar for us this week. I'm smoking the Diesel Fuels Worthy Fool. It's the new Fool's Errand cigar for this year. Sporting a Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper over Nicaraguan Habano binders and Nicaraguan Habano filler. And it's like a 5x58 little perfecto shape, weird looking bastard. But so far, pretty tasty.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like, I've tried a lot of, like, the different shape torpedoes and stuff like that just to be like, it changes the draw a lot of times, but I haven't been like, oh, this shape absolutely makes a cigar.
It's like
at least not to that extreme.
How was that weird ass one? It was like a Salomon, I think was it. It's like Churchill length, but it's like wider at the base than it is at the top, and it's I mean it's a really funky looking shaped cigar, but that one had an interesting kind of draw experience.
Yeah, I mean to me, like, you can take a small cigar like that and be like, oh well shit, I expected an hour smoke, and here it is an hour and a half later, and I'm still puffing on the thing.
Oh, speaking of long smokes, hey, well, what are you smoking?
I don't even know. What'd you give me today?
It's the
the old Punch Signature
series. I've been doing like a new kind of series of shorts called "How Long Does It Take to Smoke?" and smoking different sizes cigars. I picked up the new CAO Flathead the other day. It's an 8x60. It was a damn near 3-hour smoke. So, good cigar, but I don't recommend it unless you have time, because it's not going to be a quick experience.
I'm just going to get you a Woody and let you see.
That would have to be a multi-part video. There's no way I could. Normally I check in like every 30 minutes. With that, it'd be like, all right, 2 hours in. Just check in like every couple of hours.
4 hours later. And yeah. I'm a quarter of the way.
By the end of the video, I'm just like dead.
I just think it's funny because most people's not going to understand like what the Woody is. So the Woody is actually a 3-foot long cigar, yeah. And I think it's a 80 ring gauge or 70
like
ring
that,
gauge.
Yeah. It's like smoking a fucking baseball bat. It's ridiculous. But speaking of ridiculous, this week we're talking about Twisters. The sequel we didn't know we needed and not sure we actually wanted. But we're going to get into the good and bad of that. And if you need to track down some storms, call in the Strike Force, strikeforceenergy.com, promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order. Get you a nice little 10 pouncers that you can, wad up and throw into the tornado and maybe track it like Dorothy or whatever the fuck they did in this movie. But that's all I got for you here in the intro. We'll be right back with the main show. Hey, welcome back. Yes, we're going to have a weird show for you today, because normally we're usually on the same page with movies we watch, but in this case, like, I'm not going to say I loved it, but I liked it. I thought it was fun, and you've had, conflicting opinions.
I'm not sure how I feel about the movie yet. Like, I watch people's reactions to this, and I'm like, are we watching two different movies right now? And I don't know. Like, I'll preface by saying the original Twister, fucking hell yeah. Like, that is a movie I'll watch multiple times a year, and people are like, well, you do storm spotting and dabble with this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but I know how to remove the science from shit and just have a good time with the movie.
Yeah, that's I mean, for me, I am very critical of movies that have bad police stuff or bad martial arts stuff, because that's my background. So I have a hard time, like, when someone's doing something absolutely stupid on screen, like turning my brain off. Is that the same way with you, since you're like, kind of a weather nerd? Do you think you're more critical of this movie than say the average movie watcher?
I mean, maybe, but I'm not critical because oh, they got this terminology wrong, or no, that's not how, supercell thunderstorms and tornadic activity or convection, that sort of shit work. Like, when I try to see a movie based around weather, like, I try to get all of that out of my head and just, like, I think for me, probably it was just sitting in a theater auditorium and being like, this probably would have been really cool on like 4DX or something. Like with the wind blowing and, that sort of thing. Like, there was a scale to the original Twister. And, like, you absolutely felt like, Bill and Joe at that time were in peril, and like, to me, I just felt like I was a lot more invested in those two characters than with who we had playing our main characters in Twisters, I guess. Like, to me, Twisters was, hey, we're a love story, but occasionally we're going to sprinkle in a tornado. Whereas, like, and I don't know, maybe for me it's the same as kind of like a Jurassic Park or something. Like, the 96, Twister was groundbreaking in the CGI and all of this other stuff, and although the tornado and Twisters look cool, I was like, where's all the advancement?
Yeah, I thought it was a fun movie, but then again, like, all right, before I get into, like, because I don't understand any of this gibberish that they're talking about. Oh, the weather's moving this way, so the storm's going to do that. Was any of that shit, like, accurate? Or were they just, like, talking out of their ass this whole movie?
I mean, I think a lot of it
It could have gone either way for me. I'm like, that sounds like some science.
I mean, they sprinkled in some meteorology terms, but you got the same sort of Hollywood bullshit treatment where it's like, hey, people that live in the Midwest have probably heard about convection. They've heard about updrafts. They've heard about, whereas us in the Southeast, like, oftentimes we don't hear about a lot of that shit because you can't see shit due to all the trees. So,
yeah, it's
unless the weatherman's like, yep, there's a tornado warning, like, most of the time shit is rain wrapped and you're never going to see anything in Georgia.
Is that just because of the land being flat out there? Like, we get tornadoes here, but not nearly as
it just has to do with
destructive or long lasting.
No, it has nothing to do with the topographic, as much as it does. You got the warm moisture coming up out of the Gulf, you got the cool Canadian air, and the Midwest is a big target. So the bigger the landmass, like,
and you don't have like here where we have like mountains and big forests and stuff to kind of affect that.
I mean,
wind
you
pattern.
do have, the Rocky, mountains absolutely can do some very interesting things to the weather, but, most of the time, it all depends. I mean, there was some stuff where, like you were saying, where they sprinkled in some science, but,
we get, like, a couple tornadoes, like, here and there. It's like, but, yeah, out there, it's like, oh, this month, we're getting, like, daily tornadoes and shit. And I gotta say, from, like, the writing perspective, like, effects-wise, I thought 20 years of advancement, the stuff they did with the tornadoes looked really cool. But I don't know if it, like, was bigger than the original, but I was like, all right, yeah, the effects in this look amazing. But they're in these small towns, right? And they're like, having to tell people, oh, tornado's coming, get to shelter. I'm like, these motherfucker lives in Tornado Alley. I'm pretty sure they know what to fucking do when a tornado hits. They don't need these out-of-towners coming telling them, like, how to... Don't get in your car and drive away. Like, motherfucker, I've been living here for 20 years. I know what to fucking do in a tornado.
I mean, but you would be surprised that, a lot of times stuff like power outages or, even with the advancements in science and studying thunderstorms, like, we are still not at the point to where, we can see, I forgot what the distance is, But, we're still at the point to where our radar beams are not looking at the ground level where most, destruction is occurring.
Yeah, most of your, like,
we're looking,
in the atmosphere.
in the
We don't have,
atmosphere,
like, whatever,
and,
a lot of ground-based
without
radar.
a spotter or somebody being like, no, it's just a funnel cloud, it's not a tornado yet, or, hey, this is on the ground, like, sometimes, you might get lucky, but not everywhere has,
not so much like the pre-warning, but it's like when the tornado hits and everybody's just in the streets like panicking and shit. Like they're having, like, no, you got to do this. Don't get in your. I'm like, you think that'd be like a daily
every
occurrence?
fucking tornado warning. As soon as I hear sirens, you know what I do?
You go look. I guess it's like, around here, it's like Florida, man. Like, every year they're like, hey, hurricane's coming, everyone evacuate the area, and there's always some asshole on the beach with a bottle of whiskey, like, waiting for the hurricane to hit. So I guess it's like, yeah, Midwest has their own Florida man.
But, I mean, I don't know, like the original Twisters was, I'm going to go back to my original argument that social media has just ruined everything. Because this became a battle of influence versus like the original, where it was kind of odd in itself, because Bill's like, oh, you're just in it for the money, not the science, and it's like, you kind of need money and stuff to kind of be able to pursue the science. But
yeah, because that's kind of like the B plot in this one, that back it up to how our main character got there in the first place is her whole, like, she was coming up with a way to try to stop tornadoes during, I guess, college, and tornado was a lot bigger than they thought it was, and her whole team pretty much got wiped out. So she's like, fuck this, I'm getting the hell out of the Midwest, I'm going to New York and be like a fucking weather girl or whatnot. And her one surviving team member is like, hey, I got some new technology I want to test out, like, but I need someone who can get us in position, and you're like the goddamn weather wizard and can like really figure out how
and that was definitely a nod to sort of Bill, where he had an inert ability to kind of be able to judge and stuff what a storm was going to do. So that was kind of a cool little hint to the original.
That's the thing too. It's kind of weird because I've never heard this term before, but they're calling this a standalone sequel. So it's a sequel within the same universe, but has zero connection to the original film. I thought it'd been so much easier just to say, hey, one of these persons is like Bill's kid, or even if they don't bring in the original cast, other than you seeing the Dorothy unit from the first movie. I think
the issue is there for a while, Helen Hunt wanted to do a sequel where she was, like the grandmother or something, and couldn't get that idea or whatever to manifest. And
I heard some things about her script.
Yeah, and that might be, I don't know, but people are like, well, they should have did the,
It just, yeah, even if
like, I think this would have been a great movie if you just let it stand on its own. Don't even try to tie it to 1996. There wasn't enough groundbreaking.
Which they didn't really, other than, like you said, seeing that Dorothy unit. So, like, all right, the thing they invented in the first movie is still being used today. That are like, that's literally the only connection to like the original film, and in this one they're trying to do something different.
Bill Paxton's son had a cameo.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
So I mean, like, there was,
so it's
I don't know. I just think
it's within the same universe. It's just does not connect with any of the original.
Hey,
cast.
it's Earth. Earth has tornadoes.
Yeah. But I did yeah, there's the Dorothy unit, so this is in the same universe. And then after that, it's like, so they're, instead of trying to, like, in the first one, the goal was to put these sensors to measure airspeed or whatever within the tornado. And in this one, they're trying to basically do a 3D scan of like the.
So instead of getting one thing in the path of a tornado, you have to get 3 things.
So we got to like
we got to
upgrade the
surround
stakes.
it, man.
Like I said, I love the effects. Like I said, it was a fun movie, but to your point, the first movie I think had less tornadoes, more character development, and this one's like,
See,
no,
I felt like there were more.
way more
because,
tornadoes,
like,
less character development.
you know, we had the twins. We had, you know, the first tornado when they get caught under the wooden bridge. There was the, you know, one that hit the drive-in theater. There was the one that went through Aunt Meg's house. Like, then there was your final, like, F5 and the Sidewinder. Like, there were so many, like, you know, and like I said, you know.
Oh, the fucking fire tornado when it hits the damn refinery. I was like, we've gone full Sharknado at this point. We got fire tornadoes.
There is a Catnado in development.
Those are dangerous. That might be worse than a Sharknado. Oh, Pussy NATO. That's going to be the porn parody.
But I don't, you know. Like, I don't know. I know with big fires, like, you know, forest fires and stuff, they do create their own atmosphere. And, you know, it's not due to a thunderstorm, you know, causing a tornado,
Yeah,
but like, just the convection of the fire and everything else will get, you know, the firenado going. I don't know if, I guess it's possible if a tornado went over something and it blew up. Like, you know, most of the time, though, like, you'll just see the power flashes and other stuff. I don't know that anybody's actually seen a tornado strike something that blew up, and then all of a sudden, oh, hell, now we got a firenado.
Yeah, most of the time we don't have...
That's thunderstorm-driven.
This is kind of just reminds me of some, like, weird movie where it's like, oh, yeah, with, like a sci-fi, like some of those sci-fi original like horror movies and shit that are just so ridiculous. Like, all right, the last one we had Sharknadoes. Now we have like a Firenado and a Lightning NATO and like a Lava NATO.
Whoa. Falnado. But to me, I don't know. Like there was just a certain spirit and a drive on the first one. With a badass soundtrack. I can't name one fucking song off this movie.
I know there was music, but it's not stuck with me. It's like, I think Deadpool wiped most of my brain out.
I mean, it was just, you know, well, it's Oklahoma, so we're going to make this, you know, all country and whatnot. And it's like I don't, you know, I
got to say,
like,
dude, like, the first one, I mean, we saw, like, the aftermaths of tornadoes but, like, and this one, you legit seen people getting, like, sucked up and blown away and shit. So it's like, while not being gory, there was a lot more death that you could, like, see on screen in the, like, you know, people's getting their car.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's part of the problem too, is there was just such a scale, you know, where, you know, here it's like, all right, we're at the movie theater. Oh, the movie theater got damaged, you know. Oh, the screen you're now staring at just got sucked away, and people in the audience are sayonara'd, you know.
I know, I did like the tornado hitting the, I'm going to take you to a rodeo. It's like, you know, tornado hitting the rodeo. I mean, that would have been the best opportunity for a callback to the "We Got Cows" from the original, but didn't see no bulls in a tornado. I mean, should have had at least one kind of swinging around.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think for me, there was just too much emphasis on Glenn Powell and whatever the girl's name is story that just
Kate, played by
took
Daisy
everything
Edgar
away,
Jones.
whereas the original, like, dude, everybody remembers, you know, fucking Dusty, the Extreme, you know, and, you know, all like, the team members were memorable.
Yeah,
I didn't give a shit about a single one of the fucking, and I called the shit from the very beginning to be like, fake good guy, he's going to end up bad, and that'll be her actual. And I think for me, that might have been like, God damn it, fucking Hollywood, like I've already seen what you're about to do here.
Yeah, because her old friend that recruited her to work for his, like, kind of well-funded operation, turns out that they're basically making a deal with, like, a sleazy, like, loan guy to fund their research. Because, like you said, you got to have money for the research. But basically what they're doing is, since they're the first ones on the scene in a lot of these, like, tornado hits, because they're there trying to track the tornadoes, they're like, hey, like, let me introduce you to my, insurance banker guy, and he's, basically buying up all these properties super cheap from people that don't have insurance, and, profiting off of scamming people out of their homes, and then funding their startup with the profits. And then you've got the Glory Hound, a.k.a. Tyler Owens, played by Glenn Powell, who is a YouTube sensation, but not just like crazy jackass dude. He actually has a degree in meteorology, but he's like, got bored, wanted to do YouTube shit.
Well, I mean, like,
because you think he's an idiot when she first started talking to me. He's like, oh no, I actually have degrees in meteorology and went to whatever college and shit. It's just like, I just thought this was more fun.
I mean, the Discovery Channel had, the entire Storm Chaser series, with, Team Twist X, RIP to those guys, Reed Timmer, and a whole host of other Storm Chasers, along with Sean Casey, like, all trying to essentially get, like, IMAX inside of a tornado, so... Glenn Powell's character, like, I'm sorry, dude. You got 6-inch augers going in the ground. That's probably not doing shit for you. Whereas, like, Reed Timmer, like, dude, he's got, fucking Dominator 1, 2, and 3. And those are, like, fucking tanks that'll, lower flush to the ground and everything. So, but to that point, like, a lot of people that don't follow storm chasing or anything of that nature, like, oh, this is really cool, but it's like, no, there's people out there actually doing this shit, for real.
A fan of trucks. I did like the truck, even though it was like Hollywood ridiculous and probably would not have survived. Because cool, it had the metal roll cage, and then it had the augers to, like, anchor it to the ground. And even he says it's only rated for like an F2. Anything bigger than that, it's gonna get, like, ripped out of the ground. But the windows weren't really. Like, all right, cool, you got a roll cage in this thing, but a tree going through your window is going to really ruin your day. Unless you got some, like, fucking bulletproof Lexan or something. Yeah, it didn't seem reinforced enough in the window area for me.
Yeah, I don't...
And it's like, hey, welcome to Jackass. I'm going to launch fireworks in this here tornado.
But,
But as a wannabe YouTuber myself, I was like, that's fun. If I had the budget, I'd do something like that.
So choice of the two trucks, either Red Ram from fucking '96 or modern,
That's what I like, because it looked almost like because it was an older model Ram that he had. So that was another thing, kind of linked to the past or homage to the past, because definitely not the same truck. But I'm like, all right, it looks enough like Bill's truck that kind of cool. And but to your point of, like, the wacky team of researchers from the first one, we kind of knew a lot more about them, where they gave Tyler's, like, this whole kind of crew of support guys that are like the rough and tumble people like the original movie, but we got zero character development on his, like, sidekicks.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
I couldn't name a single one of the other characters that are along the ride.
Whatever, what's her face's boyfriend was in the very beginning that got sucked away from the underpass, and everybody else, it's like, it's like, you're gonna be out of here in,
Yeah, it's like
3 minutes in, so no background note. So I'm like, dude didn't mean shit to me.
Yeah. here's drone flying girl, here's a fireworks guy, that's a RV guy.
But it just
it's like,
it just seemed like outside of our two main characters, like there was just no fucking personality. And in that role, like, dude, I'm sorry. You know, I work with fucking blue collar guys and, you know, roughnecks and all kinds of shit. Like, certain industries and certain aspects, these aren't, you know, cookie cutter people. Like, everybody's got some kind of dynamic. They're all chasing that fucking adrenaline rush, whether it's for science, whether it's for money, whatever. Like, it would have been cool to have a bit more dynamic to where you actually gave a shit about somebody other than Glenn and I'm going to say Daisy, but I don't think her name was Daisy.
No, that's her name. Her character's name is Katie, or Kate Carter.
Okay. Well, hey. I was close.
And apparently the drone operator lady was named Lily. And the photographer was named Boone. But yeah, I don't remember any of those people's names. Like you said, like other than the first two main characters, it's like there was zero kind of character development on the rest of the team. They're like, we just need a group of people that look cool, and then we're not going to tell you anything about them.
But did they even really look cool?
I mean, they looked like we're trying to do a modern version of the OG team. We have those like people who do the kind of the similar things. Like we're gonna get like an RV, and you know we're gonna make our version of like the original team. The Wish.com version of
I do wonder what it would be like trying to fly a drone in 70, 80 mile per hour wind gust. Yeah, I feel like as light as a drone is, it's going to get tumbled. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough about drones, but yeah, that would not seem...
Like, it really makes me want to go to the park, like, next, like... Dude, I was out there a few weeks ago when we had, you know, like, a thunderstorm roll in, and... Dude, it was like gusting 60 miles per hour.
Probably look cool as shit.
Yeah.
You know, even if you lose your drone, that lead up like footage of like flying into the tornado would probably look cool as hell in that perspective. But I do like how they had like the freaking racing harnesses and shit in the truck, and like the mortar launchers and everything. It was a cool, like I said, it's probably Hollywood bullshit, but it was cool, and I do appreciate. One thing about this movie that I did appreciate that made it fun was so many movies and TV shows, we all have to have a message. Even if they don't go like fully like full-blown woke, it's like, oh, we got to have some kind of message. There was no message in this. There wasn't like, we've got more tornadoes than normal because of global warming and we've got to save the environment. And I was like, nah, dude, tornadoes suck. We want to try to stop one or like film inside one. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. I can get behind that. I'm so tired of getting like preached at by like movies and shows that I'm like, it was a nice like break just to have like a good summer stupid movie that I didn't have to think too much about. Even though the characters you really didn't care about, it was a fun not to have to like, you know, think for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Which I heard that was kind of the problem with the version Helen Hunt wanted to make, is it was going to be like super woke. Like we want to do a whole like female only storm chaser team, and all the other teams are going to be people of color, and like, and I don't know how much truth to that rumor there is, but that's like kind of the rumor.
And I don't really even care about all that.
Her script was going to be like super woke.
Make an all female team. Make an all, you know, whatever team. I don't care, you know, but don't let it just be, hey, we did this, you know, just to preach.
Yeah, I'm so tired of forced diversity in movies, or like like if it's natural, cool. If it's but it doesn't have to be your center storyline. You know, if it's like, you know, in the real world, yeah, there's like diversity, but like there's so many movies and stuff doing like just forced diversity where it's like, no, there cannot be any like, you know, men in this movie. It needs to like in a job that's probably like, you know, a high percentage of of male people. It's gotten ridiculous where it's like there's when it fits organically into the story, cool. But when you shoehorn an agenda into a story, it never like fits right, and it just.
Well, to me, it just removes it from, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm out. Like, I just instantly check out. And I don't know, like, what was the runtime of this movie? 2 hours and 20-something minutes, or?
I don't know. It did seem kind of 122 minutes, which that's about average movie length these. Yeah,
I
2 hour.
For some reason, like, there toward the end, I was like, how much of this do I have? Like, this was one of those where I was like, fucking looking for my phone or trying to figure out what the fuck time it was. Like, it just didn't hold me for some reason. And you know, like, it sucks for me because I was really excited for, you know, this potentially. I mean, hell, I don't give a fuck, you know. I'll watch Sharknado. I'll watch, you know, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, you know.
What was that other one we watched? Disaster. The fucking L.A. earthquake movie. San Andreas or whatever it was.
Yeah, San Andreas, Volcano, like Dante's Peak. You know, I love a good disaster film. But this just was so much less about the disaster and just like
how Kate got her groove back.
It's like chick flicks, but occasionally there's going to be a tornado touchdown. I mean, that's kind of how I viewed it. Like,
yeah, just a little bit of.
That was probably a very oversimplification, but
I mean, her character. They spent like all their character development on those two without like anybody else. You don't care about any of the supporting cast in this. Where, you know, her character's got a little bit of Storm PTSD because she was like the only, you know, person
like
in her team.
The survivor's guilt type deal.
And when, like, you know, the first time she, you know, because, you know, he talks her into, you know, coming and joining in this team. She's like, all right, I'll give you a week to do this. And like the first time they go out, you know, she's like, at first she's like, all right, yeah, I'm back. Like, I can track this tornado. I'll get y'all in position. But once they get there and she's like, oh, I got to get out of the vehicle and help set up the equipment, she fucking panics and basically, like, you know, takes off and shit. And it's like, and she doesn't really kind of get, I guess, fully back into it until the rodeo where the tornado hits while they're at the rodeo, and, you know, she survives it. And after that, she's like, all right, I guess I'm over my, I faced my fear. I'm ready to get back into the, into the shit of it.
I'm ready to drive a truck into this motherfucker.
But then she finds out, you know, the truth that her team is actually, like, you know, screwing all these people out of their homes and, or at least, you know, facilitating that. So she, like, I'm going to go back home to mama. And, you know, of course, you know, homeboy's like.
And it's such a great nod miss, too. Like, how badass would it have been? Walk in, she's firing up, you know, fucking steak and eggs. Because, dude, that scene is so fucking iconic. Like, you just see, you know, in the original, the crew, they show up at Aunt May's, and, you know, it's like, May, where's the cow? Oh, steak and eggs. And that shit looks so fucking delicious.
Oh, hell yeah. When you're getting, like, steaks fresh off the farm, oh, man, there ain't nothing. As a meat eater, that ain't nothing better. It's like, yeah, fucking that farm-to-table steaks. Mm.
I need fire. A fire-nado.
Fire-nado.
Let's see. Does it work? That does not work at all.
You're gonna end up setting the fucking pop filter on fire or some shit.
It'll be fine. I'll get another one before we have to interview at Dragon Con.
Oh shit! Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta send an email. I'll tell you about that afterward. Cause I completely forgot all about that shit. But yeah, that would have been the point to, like, plug in, like, if you could have got a Helen Hunt back or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, it's Mom, she's actually the. But yeah, they were like, no, we're just gonna like not refer to anything from the original. But yeah, all her research and stuff was still in the old barn, and of course, Glenn Powell follows her home and is like, hey, all this research is actually pretty good.
I just want to state for the record, if you and I did that, people would be creeped the fuck out.
Yeah.
But nobody's mom would be like, oh yeah, he's staying the night. Like, that's never once happened in my life.
You got to look like Hangman, and you're like, what, you fucking tracked me home? Come on, I got a cowboy hat and my face on a t-shirt.
And I know how to use my brain.
I'm not only smart, but I'm ruggedly handsome. The more movies I see with him in it, though, he's like the next like Matthew McConaughey. He is like, so far I've enjoyed him in like all the movies I've seen him in. He's gonna be like the next like big star. As all our old heroes are slowly retiring, I think we're gonna see a lot more Glenn Powell in the future. I mean, I think they're doing another Top Gun movie at this point, so. He's got a good Netflix movie out now too. It's fuck, I can't remember. The Hitman.
All right, I might have to check that out.
Where he plays a fake hitman.
Wasn't this directed by our same person that did Top Gun Maverick?
I don't know. Director for this is Lee Isaac Chung. Screenplay by Mark L. Smith.
What else?
But it was Amblin Entertainment and Warner Brothers. So it was definitely a big studio film.
Never mind. Minari. What is that?
No idea.
I don't know.
And they did try to do, when you first meet him and his team, you think, yeah, they're just internet influencer type, just in it for the glory. They're selling t-shirts and merch and shit. But then you find out, like, later on, like, they're passing out meals. It's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, that's why we sell all these t-shirts instead, so we can, like, donate to these, communities hit by tornadoes. Like, we're not just fucking
cowboys out here, just
zero personality or whatever, just narcissistic internet types like us. They're like, yeah, we're doing all this shit for the clicks, but the money we're making, we're trying to like help people with. And like, oh, okay, y'all aren't the bad guys. Wait a minute, are we the bad guys?
M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist!
Shamalama ding dong. I fucking hate that guy. He's made one good film. How is that dude still making movies? I've never seen an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
That's the reason why I don't think. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it was. I've watched many. I've probably seen this movie 8 times now through various YouTube reaction videos, and I've yet to have the same reaction to any of this that they did. Like, yeah, I think my personality is just too dry. I can't be that animated. I'm too cynical. I don't know. But I'm like, whatever you're seeing and are giddy as shit about right now, I give 2 fucks about.
Oh. I mean, we've been reviewing movies for fucking nearly 10 years at this point. Have we gotten too, like, cynical or analytical about our movie? I don't know. Deadpool, like, I was fucking giddy about Deadpool, so there's still the ability to have joy. We've not turned into, like, cynical, like, reviewers yet. But yeah, I thought this movie was fun, but it wasn't, like, the greatest movie I ever saw. I mean, it was all right. It's not something that, like, I'm like, bro, you gotta see Twisters. But for me being dumb in this area of science, I'm like, it's pretty cool. Tornado goober.
I mean, it just, with all the advancements and everything else, like, I just expected a much grander scale of destruction and cool shit, and you really didn't get that,
Yeah, because the rodeo, it was, well, kind of like the drive-in scene. Like, most of the destruction was done in darkness. Or the camera was, like, focused on the people huddled trying to survive, so you're not seeing all the crazy shit going on around
Whereas
them.
I think, like, the original, like, they would do those, pan out aerial views, and it would just be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, because with modern, like, CGI and shit, you could have really, when your camera exists virtually, they could have done some cool, like, shots, like, going,
I mean, I think for me, one of the coolest ones was, our last tornado.
Yeah, the big climax of the F5 hitting, like, the small town.
Well, and that
in broad daylight, so it's like, cool, there's a lot of
and that water tower as it's rolling across set El Reno. And for folks probably that don't study weather or like, what's El Reno? That's the widest tornado ever recorded, that happened, I think, in 2011 at 2.3 plus miles. And, like, there were a lot of storm chasers. Like, you go back and watch the actual news footage, and you were talking earlier about, like, Oklahomians, they know, what the fuck to do. And the weather forecaster, is live on air, and he says if you are not below ground, you are not going to survive this. And it just caused a mass exodus of people trying to get out of the path of this thing, but it was so fast and so wide that even your professional storm chasers, like that, that's what killed the Twistex team. Their car got caught up in it, and, like, you watch videos of, like, storm chasers, oftentimes will kind of pair themselves up, and it's like, oh, there's a white Chevy Cobalt, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing, and it's like, I forgot how many times they said that team got flung out in the middle of this field, and the car rolled and everything else, but, like, that was kind of a interesting nod, where I'm like, all right, but, yeah, man,
it really made me want to get, like, a fucking Toyota and, like, just haul ass through some fucking cow fields. That shit looked fun.
But I just loved the fact too, like, she like, oh, we're gonna need a trailer. Oh, you gonna want aluminum for that?
Yeah, they go to, like, the local, like, we need to haul, like, X amount of pounds, and we also need to strap stuff up. And like, what are y'all come try this? We're gonna drive into a tornado. Oh, well, in that case, you're gonna need. Y'all speaking my language now. All right, that's it's like going down to country folks here and be like, yeah, I need something to do this, and be like, yeah, we got you. Y'all gonna want aluminum.
But wasn't that, like, one of the problems in the original, that the pack was just too light, that it, gets tossed before it
when
ever
they finally
has
get it in position, it gets blown away. So, like, we need something to weight it down. So they strapped it to the back of the truck and just fucking drove the truck right into the tornado and bailed out.
But I don't know. Like, I think this was just a bit too.
I do like the explosive, like, hey, we know how to work fireworks. We're gonna, like, so we don't have to get out of the truck to open these things. We can just hit a button and pop the tops on them and release the shit into the storm.
Does it ever say what kind of fucking polymer she was trying to release into this thing?
They say, but because I did it once and it didn't do anything, and then they're like, oh, that's because there's not enough moisture in the thing, so we need to, like, use the fireworks to shoot silver nitrate, or basically the stuff you use to, like, seed clouds to, like, make it rain, and then the polymer will silver iodide to
Can we get a Mythbusters episode going? Joe, you want to go on a road trip to the Midwest? Because I'm calling bullshit on this.
yeah, we could, yeah. Definitely get some clicks for the YouTube channel.
I mean, I'm a Skywarn spotter. I can get a couple of other certifications under my belt. We're gonna need a badass insurance policy, though. Oh wait, no, we just need liability only. Tornadoes are an act of God, right?
Yeah. So.
You know. Oh, well, you guys were driving right toward it.
Polyacrylite beads. Whatever the fuck that is. That might be a made-up word. Not
Is that kind of like that silica or whatever that, you know?
It's the shit they put in, like, beef
shoe
jerky that says
boxes
do not
and
eat.
beef jerky and stuff.
Maybe. That's it. We'll get a shitload of Brevita packs, because those release moisture and suck up moisture. We'll just throw a bunch of Brevita packs into the tornado and see if it'll suck up enough to stop it.
I don't think that's going to work.
I did see a bunch of people bitching online about this movie, the fact that they never kiss. There's like all this lead up of them two like falling in love while tornado chasing, and he even like at the end is like, let me get a traffic ticket here and go in and like, you know, tell her I like her before she flies back to New York to get funding for this new research company we're starting. But then they never kiss.
Dude, he's not getting a traffic ticket. He bolted that shit through the asphalt, okay? Like, good luck towing me, motherfuckers.
You might get a destruction of property warrant.
Have you seen city roads? You think those little fucking peon of holes amount to anything? Hell no. We got car-sized potholes.
Yeah, I've driven to the Atlanta airport. There's just like, this is another pothole. Don't worry about it.
I don't know.
So it was kind of like a, you know, for people who were like, oh, this is a romantic comedy, that are like, God damn it, we waited for the whole like guy kisses the girl at the end and we didn't. They cock blocked us. And I'm like, really? That's the thing that like, you know, pisses y'all off about this movie? Oh.
If I'm not getting kissed, nobody is. I don't know. I think this is one of those that I let myself get amped up and excited for, and I went in and been like, oh, there's like, where's the fucking energy? Like, where's the soundtrack to Country Roads, Take Me Home? Yeehaw! Like, I think that was the most excitement we got.
As good as the effects were, when they're getting out of the truck to like set up the radars and shit, it didn't look nearly as dangerous as I think it should look. Like I thought in the other movie, like when, you know, they're getting out of the car to set up Dorothy and shit, it's like, y'all way too close to this motherfucker. Where in that one it's just like, yeah, there's a tornado. Doesn't look that bad. Yeah, like, you know.
I mean, I don't know. Like, dude, like, so I got caught out in the park, and I think the wind gust, like my phone was saying, like 60 mile an hour. I was getting pelted with all kinds of fucking little grit and dirt and
like,
shit coming off
level,
the baseball
like, you know,
fields, and I'm like,
it's like standing in a
this
sandblaster
sucks. Yeah.
tunnel, being that close to the fucking tornado. Especially because their truck, like the other, because they had to like set it up and like triangulate it, so like two were on like the edges in the back, and their truck was the one that was like setting it up directly in front of the tornado. So you would think that like they would be getting the most push of debris in their direction, and it's like every time they did that, it's like, other than that final tornado where they're in the town trying to save the people, like, it just doesn't look that dangerous. It looked way more dangerous in the first movie. They should have been somebody off camera with a fucking air gun, like throwing rocks at him and shit.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I think for me, like, I'm just at the point to where I get so much enjoyment watching actual chase footage, you know, and that sort of thing, and being like, look at this, you know, these guys actually have a Doppler on wheels, you know, this guy actually has a fucking tank of a car, you know, trying to get inside of a tornado. Like,
yeah, it's kind of, I don't follow as close as you do, but yeah, but from a
I need fire again.
engineering standpoint, Yeah, there's like got to be a balance of like you can either be super like protected, but you're going to be heavy and not maneuverable enough to like get into position where you need to be. And if you have something light and maneuverable, it's not going to survive that encounter. So it's like trying to find that like perfect balance of protection and maneuverability.
I don't know what he built, his vehicle from. Hold on.
Because a fucking Abrams tank would probably survive. But yeah, it's good luck getting that thing fast enough to get in to the path of a tornado. Wasn't that the plot of one of the Sharknado movies? Like, we got to set off a bomb inside of the tornado to dissipate it. We're gonna nuke the nader. I think one time they used space lasers. I don't know. Those movies started getting ridiculous after a while. When Leatherface showed up and was like killing sharks with a chainsaw, that's when I was like, "Whoa, this is this is getting ridiculous." Or any movie that makes Gary Busey a scientist, you're like, "No, y'all have gone too far off the rails."
I guess he used a Subaru 2.5 liter. But yeah, I mean, like, there's an image of this thing. Like,
yeah, I think I've seen that.
It's got the turret that the cameraman can go into and do all of his 360 panoramics and shit. Like,
yeah, and the angles too, where it doesn't. You don't want to have a lot of flat surfaces. You want to have like angles so it'll, not hit anything. Won't hit solid. It'll deflect.
Yeah,
off.
I'm pretty sure all of that shit is armored, and they got like the fucking.
But just give me an old '90s Dodge with a roll cage. We're good to go.
You just gotta yell yeehaw.
Yeah, gonna lose my cowboy hat. I mean, they do make cowboy hat shaped hard hats now, so you could at least get you.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to like the film, and I think I went in with my expectations too high, and what I got was less destruction movie and more, love story.
Where I had zero expectations, and I'm like, that's pretty good. Oh. But yeah, now hearing your opinion, it's like you're right. There wasn't a whole lot of character development. Other than the main two characters, did not give a fuck about anyone else in the story.
I don't know that or like I said, my perception of the world has just gone to shit, and I'm now a grumpy old man, and
damn kids, get your tornadoes off my lawn. You wanted more Discovery Channel, less.
Well,
Lifetime.
Like I said, I love a fucking disaster film, but show me the disaster. Like,
yeah, because we got like a few like after. It's kind of like a horror movie where the killing happens off screen. Like we got like,
but see, I actually
and everything's
love
fucked
that
up.
though. I mean, dude, come on now. I'm a fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre fanatic. And you talk to people about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and everybody's like, man, it was so bloody, it was so gory. And I'm like, go back and watch the film. Because it's not. It's your imagination, because the camera always cuts away before the blood and the gore.
Or you see, like, the bodies and shit afterward. We got a couple, like, we're driving through these towns that have gotten all fucked up, but we didn't get, other than that last town, you didn't get to see the fucking up happen.
Like, goddamn, like, fucking,
And we did have like the hero moment, like, oh no, we don't have enough shelters for all the people in this town. This theater we're hiding in's everyone's gonna die. Me, who's been scared of tornado, I'm just gonna have to go steal the truck and drive right into the tornado. And if this thing works, we save us all. If not, we're all fucked. And pretty much thought they were just gonna kill her character at that point, but of course not. She's she gets rolled, but doesn't die in the magic tornado dust they release actually dissipates the tornado.
And I think that's the other thing that was the sort of the big difference. Like, You know, you didn't give a shit about anybody the main characters, so you know
They had the plot armor.
they're not going to let anything happen to the main characters. Everybody else can be cannon fodder, and I hate a movie like that. Like, or I'm just like, it's too fucking predictable. The stakes aren't real. Like, the danger isn't real. You know, it's just.
Yeah, with the exception of like killing her team at the beginning, it's like.
But you didn't
if you're on the main team, you're not dying in this movie.
There was Glenn. There was the one homeboy, and then there was our, you know, that was it.
And then there was the cool English the English fucking writer that's there to do a news story on Homeboy, and then this story evolves like and at one point he sees him taking photos of her, and he's like, "Don't worry about it, man. That's your story. Like, follow her, not my fucking YouTube antics. I'll be alright." She's way more interesting than me,
Okay,
dude.
so we had four that, two of which we don't even know names for. Javi, was that it?
Yeah, Javi was his like sidekick guy, the guy that actually rode in the truck with him. And like Ben was the English reporter that was following him around, but the rest of the team, without looking it up here on the Wikipedia page, I have no idea what anybody's name was. That's how much like character development we got
like,
on those guys.
Like, here's the sad part for me. It's been what, a month since we watched this film now, probably.
Yeah.
I don't even give a shit about it enough to try to pull it up on Wikipedia. Like, there's not enough there for me to give a shit about to be like, Like, I was almost going to go back and rewatch this, and I was like, fuck.
No, I was wrong. So yeah, Javi was not the guy that rode sidekick with him. Javi was the leader of the other team, her friend from the original team that didn't die. That was Javi. So I don't even know who the other guy we were just talking about is.
I was going to say there was a Javi in there somewhere, I thought. But
that might be Boone, who was his videographer. But yeah, Javi, Tyler, Kate, no one else I can remember in this freaking movie. And I forgot who Javi was there for a good few minutes. So I looked like, oh no, it's the other guy. Oh.
See, I did sort of pay attention. I really tried. It just.
I blame Deadpool. Deadpool just like blew my mind. I can't remember anything pre-Deadpool.
I just, I'm glad I saw Twisters before I saw Deadpool. That's all I can say.
Speaking of which, because this is our last episode, this will be coming out Tuesday. We'll be at Dragon Con like 2 days from now. Do you think we get the massive Deadpool army this year like we had Barbies last year?
Fuck yes.
Like,
we're going to have so many Deadpools,
I've
so
noticed,
many Wolverines.
I've noticed they've started like putting the photo shoots on the actual like schedule. I need to look up and see if there's a Deadpool shoot, because I want to see the massive pools like we saw that when we accidentally wandered into the Barbie photo shoot last year and was like, we're in danger.
I've never swam in a sea of pink until that day.
Yes.
And I was like, I didn't know whether to be like giddy or mortified.
Oh, speaking of which, our homeboys at King of Camo, they made that Deadpool deagle for a raffle giveaway. Nate actually got a full Deadpool costume to go draw the the ticket in. So he was there as Deadpool drawing the ticket.
I just want to be his dog pool so I can look retarded and people caress me.
I want to see if somebody dresses up as Headpool, and it's like he's just like the head, and then he's like wearing like a green screen suit, walking around at Dragon Con. That would be fun. Like one of those like fucking morph
We should
suits.
create a green screen. That'd be fun just to dick around with.
Probably do that.
It would not be very difficult.
I mean, the screen it's all the software. The screen itself is just anything fucking green.
Yeah. Like, literally, I've helped make one, and it was just fucking, the frame was PVC.
Yeah, we wrapped the studio in one, and then we put like a professional studio like on the screen. So we're sitting in a shed, but it looks like we're in like fucking CNN's main main broadcast.
God, anywhere you could be, and that's where you want to be.
That's just the first one that came to mind.
Jesus. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Fox News.
God. Why has it got to be news?
All right. Death Star.
Anywhere we could be, and you're like, yeah, we should be in a news studio. Like,
this is news, right? All right, we put ourselves on the bridge of a Star Destroyer. We're the Empire Podcast.
we're so shitty, we'll just make ourselves in an exhaust port.
Darth Vader's like chess piece is just a zoom. We're just plugged into Vader's chessboard. Oh, but yeah.
Hey, there was people, there were tornadoes. Occasionally the tornadoes did shit, and the people talked a lot.
Well,
and they weren't very memorable.
Final thoughts on this here. Worthy Fool. It's earthy. It's got some peppery to it, and it's so far. I mean, I'm still smoking on it. We're an hour in, so despite its kind of small size, it's a good session length cigar. A little peppery from the Habano, and just kind of a touch of sweetness. Not bad. I would definitely pick up another one. These annual Fool release, which I think we have the Fool's Aaron, and then we had the Arrogant Fool, and then this year is the Worthy Fool. So yeah, I think you can still pick up all the Fool versions. I've seen I think every version in our local cigar shop, the cigar shop. So yeah, if you want to be a fool, go smoke you a fool, and we'll be right back with some science. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com and on the ESO Network, esonetwork.com. And don't forget, smoke them if you got them. Like, comment, and subscribe.